Okay, today we are making a Big Phat Reece Bass, and this is what you're gonna get. That's what it's gonna sound like. To start with, this is the pattern that I'm going to be using when I create the bass today. So if you want to get that pattern, put it into your machine. Otherwise, you can create any pattern that you like. Let's open up Vital. In Oscillator 1, choose Basic Shapes. And I want to go and find a square wave. There's the square wave. I want to view this in 3D mode instead of 2D mode. So I'll click on that button there because I'm going to be editing that wave shape. So let's hear what it sounds like at the moment. And I'm going to lower the pitch of that down, transpose it down 12 steps, 1 octave. Alright, we want it one voice only. And then in Oscillator 2, we are going to go and find a patch that you will not find in your default patches, but if you go and download the January 2021 free patch sharing thread, which you should be able to find pretty easy, you will discover that you have a patch called Trip FM. I'm going to transpose that down an octave. And then lastly, Oscillator 3, we're going to go to Basic Shapes once again. And this time I'm going to stick with a sine wave. I'm going to increase it to 2 voices instead of 1. And I'm going to lower the level of this down just a tad as well. Let's next switch on Filter 1. I'm going to keep this analog. I'm going to reduce the resonance down a little bit. Still a tiny little peak there, but not a huge one. I want to have this first oscillator feeding into both Filter 1 and 2. We'll switch on Filter 2. I'm going to choose Dirty 12 dB for this. And I'm going to change this to a notch. Just increase the drive a little bit. Next, let's go to Envelope 2. And in Envelope 2, I'm going to create a custom envelope here. Getting stuck on this grid point, which is super annoying. Okay, I'm going to use this envelope to modulate 2 things. Firstly is going to be the waveform of Oscillator 1. And the second thing is I'm going to turn on the harmonic stretch in here, and I'm going to use envelope 2 to modulate that also. All right, let's change LFO1 to a sine wave. And I'm going to use LFO1 to modulate the filter cutoff for filter 2. So just a small amount of modulation there. Okay, now with LFO1, I want to change something a little bit here. I'm going to change this to seconds and just increase this up a little bit. Just so that that moves a little slower. That's a bit better. Now we'll go to LFO2. We'll also choose a sine wave. And this time, let's also set that to seconds, but we'll have it triggering quite slow. At around 120, let's try that. And we're going to use this to modulate the pitch transposition here. So it just changes pitch a little bit and quite slowly. I'm just going to remodulate this because it feels like it's just going a little too crazy. Oh, it's quite difficult to get on there. I just want a little bit. Oh God, that is very difficult. It is very difficult to actually get to go where you want it, which is just there, just about there. Good. Okay, next let's go into our effects section, and we want to start with EQ. I will take off the top end and going to just reduce that cutoff down a bit because we only really need the bottom end here. This. And I might actually connect the macro one up to the cutoff here, just so that we can get use that as sort of a little bit of a filter adjustment. Now, I could have done that on the filter, but in this case I decided to just do that to the EQ. Next, let's have a compressor. Multiband mode, let's mess around with that a little bit. Alright, next we'll go for some distortion. Hard clip. Okay, that's good. We'll pop a chorus in here. I want the chorus after the distortion. Okay, adjusting it like so. And then lastly, we'll put some reverb in here. Alright, that's sounding pretty good. One last thing that I want to do just before we really are ready to finish this off is we want to glide into these notes a little bit. So let's switch glide, switch into some glide. Alright, and now we have it. There's our Reece bass, sounding pretty big and fat. I'll just show you that on another pattern. Great. Okay, so let's do a little bit of modification of this sound after the fact, so post-processing. So to begin with, I'm going to, now if you're not using Ableton, obviously just use whatever DAW you have and do a similar thing to this. Shouldn't be too difficult to find the equivalent of what I've got going on in here. I'm going to start with a glue compressor. Just reduce the threshold, increase the makeup gain. Increase the attack. I'm going to reduce the release down. Sounding better already. And then what we'll do is go for an auto filter, and we want to notch this out. We'll just roll this back to around the middle-ish here. Down here. All right, that's sounding pretty good. And then lastly, we will use some erosion just to nasty this up a little bit. I'm going to use the wide noise mode. Increase the width. And then we have it. That is a pretty mean sounding Reece bass right there. Great. Okay, go and have fun with that one and make some big ass sounding fat Reeces for your tracks. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.